Hey everyone, this is Tony, Tainted Lord A7, and I have a thread that I thought would be a little bit fun to do in the vinyl um music community, I guess. And this is going to be about compilations. Um I feel that compilation albums don't get talked about enough, and I thought for this thread I I thought it would be fun to have everyone show off compilation albums in their collection. Like I said, compilation albums are not really that popular, but I'm really interested to see anyone who has like any compilations albums in their collection to do a response and show off those compilation albums in their collection. And I'm going to start off by showing all the compilation albums that I have in my collection. So, just thought this would be a really fun thing to do, and hopefully, everyone will jump on board and talk about some compilation albums that most people may or may not know of. So, I'll get started. The first compilation that I'm going to show off is called the Reindeer Walk 2000, the Finnish compilation. This one and the next two are three compilations that I found at my local thrift store. But for this one, the Reindeer Walk 2000, the Finnish compilation, features a bunch of Finnish rock metal bands that were pretty popular during the early 2000s. And while most of these bands are fairly unknown, there's a few on here that I do recognize. Like you have the 69 Eyes, the gothic metal band To Die For, and Nightwish. But overall, I don't think most people know most of these bands. Like some bands are featured like the Lemonado, the Deep Space Sex Exchange, OPL Bastards, Superheads, the Ultra Bimbos, James X, Nerdy, Come Inside, Super, Reno Radio, Ita Sasa, I don't know how you pronounce the band name, Plum, Hybrid Children, Magneti, Mental Market, Road Crew, and the Blaster Master. Yeah, most of these Finnish bands I don't know of, and not as popular or as well known, but this is a pretty cool Finnish based compilation. And if you're into like some Finnish rock metal bands that are fairly underground, I recommend checking this compilation out. Um, but yeah, not a bad compilation. So yeah, the Reindeer Walk 2000, the Finnish compilation. The next compilation that I'm going to show off is called the Kuang, the album Volume 2, The Cutting Edge. Now, Kuang are a UK heavy metal webzine that um, that that focuses on hard rock heavy metal bands, and sometimes they do like reviews, interviews, and honestly, I didn't know they actually put out compilations such as this back in 1995. But the bands that are featured in this one are the Wired Hearts, Biohazard, Machine Head, Sepultura, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Censor, Freak of Nature, Head Swim, Television, Cry of Love, Skin, Manic Street Preachers, The Almighty, Body Count, Paradise Lost, Caucus, Corrosion of Conformity, Pantera, and Live. So yeah, just a real mix a real mixed bag of gothic metal, heavy metal, rap metal, um stoner metal, groove metal, and some hardcore and some alternative rock. So yeah, this compilation is definitely a mixed bag, but not a bad compilation overall. So yeah, Kuwait um volume volume no Kuwait the album volume 2, The Cutting Edge. Not a bad compilation if I do say so to myself. If you're a fan of any of those bands, I recommend checking this out if you're curious. And the last compilation that I found at my local thrift store is MTV's The Return of the Rock Volume 2. Yeah, this one concentrates more on the new metal, alternative rock, metal side, and just a lot of really popular mainstream bands that were really big during the early 2000s. Yeah, during the early 2000s, you have bands like Limp Bizkit, Spineshank, Disturbed, Cold, Deftones, Nickelback, Head, Planet Earth, The Workhorse Movement, Fuel, Marilyn Manson, Glassjaw, Soulfly, Godsmack, UPO, and Typo Negative. So yeah, mostly a lot of well-known bands with a few, well, one or two that I'm not too sure of because I never heard of them before outside of this. But yeah, if you want some like new metal, alternative metal, rock metal, um, I mean alternative rock, alternative metal, and some new metal, this is not a bad compilation. So yeah, MTV's The Return of the Rock Volume 2. Um, Not a bad compilation, like I said. Okay, the last four compilations that I'm going to show off is actually a VCL was actually given to me as a VCLT package back in the late 2010s by a fellow YouTuber who doesn't make videos anymore. So the first one is Brave Words and Bloody Knuckles track. Now, Brave Words and Bloody Knuckles are a Canadian based webzine that focuses on heavy metal and hard rock and does reviews and interviews and I didn't know they actually put out compilations such as this one. The bands that are featured on this compilation are Halford, King Diamond, Devin Townsend, Damon, Watson Sound, Bizoko, Pain, Model, Gamma Ray, Eidolon, Galactic Cowboys, Firehouse, 60 Watt Shaman, Darkness Eternal, Origin, The Sins of Thy Beloved, Dark Tranquility, and The Gathering. So yeah, this one is a real mixed bags of other different kind of genres in the heavy metal hard rock spectrum. But overall, for a compilation, this is actually a really good one to get someone started into getting into like more heavy metal or extreme music. So yeah, Brave Words and Bloody Knuckles, the Knuckles track, a really good compilation overall. And the last three compilations are actually under the same label, and that's Identity, yeah, Identity, Identity 4, and Identity 6. Behind Behold Another World. Yeah, Behold Another World Identity 6 Behold Another World. That's what I'm trying to say. So these compilations, these compilations were put out by Century Media Records during the 90s up to the early 2000s. And I'm not sure if any of these kind of identity compilations are still available or not, but it's really cool to have some obscure um it's really cool to have some obscure compilations from a major label that used to put out these kind of things back during the 90s and early 2000s. For the identity one, for the first identity one, you have bands like Stuck Mojo, Only Living Witness, Release, Strapping Young Lad, Sentence, Tiamat, My Own Victim, Turmoil, Strapping Young Lad, Again, Nevermore, Iced Earth, Stuck Mojo, Samuel, Hostility, I Hate God, Grave, Unleashed, 454 Big Block, and Demolition Hammer. So overall, this is a pretty good compilation put out by Century Media Records. A lot of big name bands and a few other bands that I'm not too sure of, but overall, this is a pretty good compilation put out by Century Media Records. Now, Identity 4, um, this one features bands like Moonspell, The Gathering, Arch Enemy, Skin Lab, Stuck Mojo, Turmoil, Sub Zero, Rotting Christ, Tiamat, Lacuna Coil, Nocturnal Rites, Atlantis, I don't know, Emperor, Theater of Tragedy, Jag Panzer, Iced Earth, Exodus, and My Own Victim. So overall, another pretty good compilation put out by Century Media Records during the late 90s. Really good stuff if you're a fan of any of those bands featured on here. In the last compilation that I have under that was released under Century Media Records, this time in the early 2000s, Identity 6 Behold Another World. This one features bands like Stuck Mojo, Skin Lab, Moonspell, Sentenced, Shadows Fall, Christian, Doctor Tranquility, Jack Penzel, Samuel, Tiamat, Soilwork, Winter's Bane, Mental Home, Muado, Arch Enemy, Old Man's Child, Angel Dust, and I Hate God. So of the three identity compilations that I have, this one is this one is probably my favorite because most of the songs that they chose for these bands, I I really enjoy them. They're one of my favorites. So of the three identity compilations, this one is among my favorites. However, I'll say all three of the identity compilation albums I have are all really good in their own way, and I'm really glad to have them in my collection. If you have any CD compilations in your collection, I'll be curious to see what everyone have, and respond to this little thread that I made about compilations in your collection. So, um, so thanks for watching, and hopefully everyone enjoys it, and hopefully I see some good responses to this compilation thread that I created. So, take care, and thanks for watching.